All right. Hi, everyone. It's been a little while since Amy and I have connected and recorded, so we're excited to join you today. Real quick, I'm Rachel, financial wellness coach, and today we're going to talk about budgeting, everyone's most fun topic. Amy, if you just want to give a quick introduction.
Yeah, hi everyone. Amy Ruggieri with the Ruggieri Group. We're financial advisors and we love talking about the money conversation, just normalizing it. So really excited.
All right, great. So Amy and I have had lots of conversations around budgeting, and it's one of those things that unfortunately a lot of people have really negative connotations, and they have negative thoughts and they have negative feelings about creating a budget. And so like Amy, what have you heard around like why somebody maybe would be reluctant to create a budget?
Yeah, I think for the most part, what I hear is it's awkward, it's uncomfortable, it stirs some feelings oftentimes of I know what I should be doing and I know that I'm not doing it. And it so kind of almost feels like self-punishment in a
Yeah.
way
Yeah.
for
Mhm.
people. But and that's what I'm really excited to talk about today. Obviously, we're going to talk a little bit about the mindset of it because
Yeah.
I think the mindset that we're taught around the word budgeting is maybe not the best way to frame the subject. So we're
Yeah.
going to kind of debunk a little bit of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. People often I hear people say, well, I don't really want to know. I don't want to know where my money's going. But at the flip side, I also hear people say, I am super stressed out. I got a bonus or I feel like I make good money and I don't even know where my money's going. But then again, they change and say, why I don't want to know. But at the end of the day, you're feeling stressed, you're probably not sleeping well, and you feeling very out of control, right? When you have no idea where your money's going, it's your money, you're earning it. You should be the one that decides where it's going instead of just spending it on things and you can't even really say where it's going. So I get like it can be scary to see it, but that alone could help reduce your stress. And so if you want to feel less stressed, like it's time to write some things down. Amy, is there like things like how would you like sort of explain why you should create a budget to somebody who's maybe saying things like, I don't even want to know, but at the same time, I'm feeling really stressed about not knowing where my money's going.
Well, I mean, I'll share my own personal experience with it. There's been a period of time when I was single. I obviously was the only person responsible for the money, was very in control of that. And then when we got married, my husband Bobby and it became I joined in working with him in his business. Then we had kids, and the more things that had been piled onto our life, the more I gave it to him because out of the two of us, he's the money person. He's really the
Mm-hmm.
guy that can make it all work because it's his area of expertise. And I know for me, when I was in those years where I was removed from our money, I felt very uncomfortable and out of control, not even just with the spending of it, but what happens if something happens?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know I don't know who our car insurance
Yeah.
is through, because we shop it around. Like that's like it was worrisome to me. And so having the budget and reviewing the budget, I know in a personal situation for me, just really was that fear of the unknown
Yeah.
got removed. It didn't feel like, I got to feel like I got to ask for, to spend a little extra on something special that I was, it caught my eye. It just removes all of those feelings of um worry.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
else
It-
to call it? But if you don't call it worry, it's something that kind
yeah.
of revolves
Yeah.
around.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. I think putting information on to regardless of what the information is technically, like
yeah,
anything that you want to work through, putting it on paper, writing it down, seeing it, as you mentioned earlier, before we started recording, is that is going to give you control over your money so that you have the freedom to spend your money where you want to spend it.
exactly.
So, and creating a budget doesn't mean that you have to drastically change your life or your habits. It means
Right.
you might, but it doesn't mean you have to. It is just like one step into putting numbers to paper. And once you have those numbers in front of you, it could be it's actually not as bad as you think. Like you may think that
Yes.
your Starbucks habit is the worst thing in the world. And that is the reason that you feel like you don't have enough money. That's the only reason. But that's probably not true. I mean, depending on who you are. And so you may be honestly thinking of the wrong goals. Like maybe you're like, okay, I'm not going to go to Starbucks anymore. Well, perhaps that's not really what makes the most sense for you. But how do you know that unless you see everything written down? You may also see it written down and say, oh my God, I spend $2,000 a year on Starbucks. I didn't realize that. I now know that that
Yes.
is not important to me and I could be putting my money
Yep.
somewhere else. Or on the opposite, you could say, that's totally important to me and I'm perfectly happy spending my money in that place. Either way is fine. But
Yep.
feeling like you have control over it and you have the information, right? Like when
Right.
somebody asks, like, to be honest, I had a client once where I asked what her mortgage was and her partner took care of all the finances and she didn't know. And
Yeah.
she didn't feel good by having to say, I don't
I
even
don't
know.
know.
Yeah. So that, and we're talking about
Yeah.
mindset, right? And so like, gosh, that having that knowledge and that power, that control can just change your mindset so much and make you feel like you're just in a way better place than you were.
Yeah. Well, and I think this, the budget is kind of like, I use this analogy a lot because I think we can all relate to it. A budget is really finding out where am I now? So think about this. If I'm going on a road trip, our family goes to Myrtle Beach every summer, right? And every summer, roads change, things change. And what we do is we use something called a GPS, right? We all use GPSs now, very familiar. But what do you always have to put in the GPS for it to tell you where to go? You have to have a starting point.
Yeah.
And the budget is a starting point. It's a reference of, okay, this is where I am now. And then based on what your goals are, saying where I want to go. And I think working with a coach is honestly, it's the best thing that you can do because, we have access to tools and resources that really take a lot of the thinking out of it. But, it's just, if you don't know that point A and that point B, imagine yourself getting into a car going someplace you've never been before and not having directions, like saying, oh, well, I'm going to go to
Mhm.
South Carolina. Well, I'm going to go 77 south, right? And
Mhm.
eventually no, nobody would ever do that. So we
Yeah.
can't do it with our money. We have to be control. It's a resource. We tell the money where to go.
Yeah.
A lot of people are playing my money tells me where I'm going and how it dictates my life. Um, and guys, you got to take control. It
Yeah.
has to be on you. If you don't press go, tell me where to go, you're gonna get stuck.
Yeah.
It's going to be frustrating. You're going to turn around a bunch of times. It's inefficient. It's just you've really got to think of it in simple terms.
Yeah.
It's simple, but it's not always that simple because we're not taught,
Right.
right?
Right.
We're
Yeah.
not
No,
taught,
I didn't take
unfortunately.
a budgeting class in school. Um, yeah, it it's it's just giving you information and then you can choose what to do with that information. And I think like people's biggest hangups is I don't even want to start because I don't want to change my lifestyle. But if you're stressed out about your finances and you're not sleeping well and you're like maybe your physical health is starting to struggle and maybe your relationships you're getting into more arguments with folks that you love because of your stress level, like then you got to start somewhere. And just knowing what you spend can make all the difference because then you can start making the right choices. And also, I don't even recommend making financial goals until you have that
Yeah,
budget in place because
agree.
you don't really know.
There's no point in having a goal
Yeah,
if you're not going to have a plan.
exactly. It's
Because
just
what
like,
is that? It's a dream. It's a
yeah,
wish.
right. Exactly.
So
Exactly. And so, yeah, if
yeah,
you find yourself always saying like, I wish I could afford that, or I never could afford that, or, oh, I wish I could do
yep,
this or that, but you've never put together a budget, like maybe you could afford it. You've just not really worked towards
yeah,
that because you don't really fully know where your money is going.
yeah,
Um, yeah. And it's just, it's the difference between what I like to call mindful spending and autopilot spending. So your
Yes.
autopilot spending is not really
Yeah.
knowing what you're spending your money on, and you're just going to Starbucks and you're going out to lunch and you're going to the grocery store and you're just, you're like picking things here or there, and none of it's like thousands of dollars
Sure.
at one time, but it all adds up. And then mindful spending is when you're really looking at your budget and saying, oh, this month I'm kind of getting over my budget on, going for coffee. And so I really want to be able to put more money in my savings to do X, Y, Z. And so I'm going to stop that. And that's the other thing about like part of what I do with my clients with budgeting is also have them track their spending, because then they can see in real time where they're going. So I'm in a budget, this much going out to eat, and I see it's only the 15th and I'm already like 75% through that budget. You can kind of curtail that if you have goals set up that are meaningful and that you really want to reach. So yeah, so I think, long story, wrapping up, there's so much that we could go into, but creating a budget is really giving you control over your money. So you have the freedom to spend the money where you truly want to spend it, and you're not just autopilot spending.
Yeah. Yeah. One word before we wrap up,
Yeah.
I was thinking about, it's intention.
Yes.
Everything, money and everything in our life is, and when we do it with intention, their fruitfulness of it is always greater. And so a little bit of time, a little bit of investing in yourself and your mindset, working with a coach, take advantage of, there's a lot of resources out there, and think about how can we make this fun? Because if I'm intentional, it does become fun.
Yeah.
I know for me, I think about the power of $25 or $50 invested a month could turn into hundreds of thousands of dollars. So my intention is I want the bigger goal and the bigger prize. So for me, it's okay to say, I don't do Starbucks. I don't do fast food. Like we have a fast food, it's a rule. Once a week, we're a busy on the go family. Once a week, it's a rule, and it's a hard pressed rule. Why?
Yeah.
It's intentional.
Yeah.
There are bigger goals and things that we have that are way more rewarding and exciting than Chick-fil-A. We love Chick-fil-A.
Well, and just piggybacking off that, if your goals are to go out for coffee and go out for lunch every day, that's fine.
And that's an intentional goal.
Nothing wrong with that. Your goals can be whatever you want them to be, but you're not, I don't want to sound like negative, but you're not going to reach them unless you really start putting things down on paper, seeing where your money's going. Then you can really start figuring out what your goals are and where you can maybe make some changes or keep moving. Whatever you're doing that's working, we just want to make sure that you're there and that you understand how to get to where you really want to be.
Yeah, I love it.
Okay, well, I'm going to put in the comments or in the description where you can find us. Awesome. So that will be in there, and folks can click on those links if they want to learn more about myself or Amy. So thanks for joining us, everyone, and take care. Get those budgets going.
Thanks, Rachel.